Welcome to Festool TV. I'm Phil. Today I'd like to give you some information on working with the KS60 to cut large section timber at 90 degrees but also at angles. The first thing we need to do is to unpack it from the carrying position, and for this we can undo the front handle and then we can slide this bed through to 90 degrees. When working with the KS60 though, we can cut any other angle in between, and of course the common angles are marked, and so this will lock into the common angle positions. So we'll leave this one round at 90 degrees and then we can lock the front handle. There's a green lever on the right hand side, and if we push this over to the side we can then bring the head of the machine up, and then with the screw on the right hand side we can then undo this, and now the head of the machine can come forward. Of course the next stage is to plug the machine in, and then we can also attach our dust extraction. So on the back of the machine where the cord holder is, if we keep everything nice and tidy, it then means that during transport it's much easier to move the machine around and of course to unpack as well, so we're ready to use it. Of course, with dust extraction from Festool, this works very efficiently with 27mm hose on the inside and 36mm hose on the outside. So now with the KS60, it's ready to use, but there's also a couple of extras that we can use to make sure that when we're cutting big section timbers, we have good support while we're working. And if we undo the screw on the side here, the right hand side extension can come out, and on the left hand side, if we undo this screw, we can then increase the extension on the left hand side. So now we're cutting big section timbers, I have good support on both sides of the material. So with the extensions out, we have good support. So if I'm cutting in the middle 2/3 of the timber, this is fine. But the piece of timber that I want to remove is on the far end of here. So now when the timber is in this position to where the saw blade is, I'm going to need a bit more support underneath the timber that I'm working with. And of course, as Festool work as part of a system, it means that I can use Assist 1 to go on the underside of here. And now when I bring my timber all the way over to the right hand side, I've got good support, so now we can work securely. Of course, when I'm working, anything that I've marked out, I want to make sure I cut exactly on the correct line. And with the KS60, we work with the shadow line. With the switch on the left-hand side, we can push this in. So now when I bring the timber over towards me, I can then bring the head of the machine down, and exactly where the kerf line of the blade is, it means that then I can line this up and work really accurately. Of course, when working with any machine, you need to make sure that the timber is clamped in position. And we can use one of the cam clamps or the screw clamps, and on the back of the fence, I can then put the clamp in position, and then we can hold the timber in place. So now the next stage, switch the machine on, and then we can remove the piece of timber away from the end of the board. So working with the KS60 to cut dimension timber like this means we have enough power to go through the machine, but we also end up with a really good cut while we're working. But of course, with machines such as the KS60, we also need to cut angles, which is what we're going to be looking at next. So with the KS60, we can now undo the front handle, and we can bring this around to 45 degrees. And with timber at 45 degrees, the maximum cutting width is at 215mm. But also with the KS60, we can go to 60 degrees on the left-hand side, but also on the right-hand side as well. And of course, with Festool, really simple, easy adjustment. And then that will lock into position. And so the next stage is to get another piece of timber, and we can put this onto the bed of the machine. And remember, because of the extensions and also the assist port here, it means we've got really good support for the timber that we're working on. And now I can cut a maximum piece of timber at 115 millimeters in width. So I can move this on to where I'm going to be working. Don't forget, if I needed to, I can also work with the shadow line, and then the clamp can be placed on the back of the machine, and then we can lock this into position. And the next stage is we can switch the machine on and then we can cut through. But always remember, when using any type of SCMS saw, the cut needs to start in this position, and so we're always going to go back towards the fence. So, when working with the KS60, we can work with large section timbers up to 60 degrees for angles, and also we can work with a really high quality finish with good dust extraction. So I hope this helps your understanding of working with the KS60, and on the next presentation we'll go through some more of the applications we can use this machine for.